Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup, but you know what this is? This is Way Out Wednesday. This is Way Out Wednesday. This is the day where you right there. You become the boss. All you have to do is give us a call, 678-381-1973, 678-381-1973. We'll talk about what you want to talk about, and we will talk about it in its entirety. In its entirety. Yeah, entirety is the word. Y'all just ain't looked it up yet. Y'all ain't took the time to look up that word entirety. But before we go another step further, I got to say good morning. We got two of the big dogs with me this morning. Two of my brothers from another mother, but we got the same father. First, we're gonna say good morning, Captain Leonard. Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem in the Morning Glow family.
Yes, sir. Kurt. What? Good morning, Kurt. How you doing this morning?
How you doing, right? How you doing? How you doing?
How you doing this
What do you
morning?
say?
I need to know how to. Hey, look here. We got a lot of topics. We got a few topics we're going to talk about this morning. I got one thing I want to talk about in particular, but I'm going to keep that after I talk about this part right here because I know both of you are very adept. I think that's the word they use in politics. And we got a lot of things going on right now where they're trying to curb our vote. And I usually go to Captain Leonard, so I'm going to start off with him in the morning just to get us up to speed as anything that may have took place yesterday. From yesterday to today, I know there was protests. There's a lot of protests going on here in Georgia. So, Leonard, what's going on with this whole curve the vote thing?
Well, that's what the protest is about.
Mm-hmm.
It's against the bills here in Georgia that are going on to further suppress and disenfranchise the vote.
Mm-hmm.
And we know why they're doing it is because of the voter turnout was a lot more than they expected.
Yes.
And they know this is how they lost that race.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to do everything that they have always done to try to keep you from voting. You would be the fool not to vote.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because and if you follow Stacey Abrams and Fair Fight and her groups, they are very much on top of things and trying to get people to understand. Like I always tell people, the fight ain't over till you win, and it's till you win it all.
Yeah.
Because these people still have power in Georgia. That's we did the voting and everything, but we have to understand that was for with Warnock and Ossoff. That was for a federal seat, the national seat. But there's still local politics in your state and in your state government. And I believe it was, I can't remember, I don't know if it was Zadara or the doctors you had on, were very passionate about people understanding the frosting on the cake in Georgia is blue.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get it twisted.
Dr. Virginia, yeah, she
So,
spoke. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So we have to always understand that is why it's still fighting. No one should be still asking, well, I voted. Well, I voted. Well, did you know what you voted for? Do you know why you have to continue to vote? The vote is not a holiday. It's not something that you just do a few times a year. Once you vote, you have to follow up. You have to find out what's going on. Georgia is still run by predominantly hateful, racist Republicans.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is why they have all these bills to try to keep you from voting and to suppress the vote.
Wow.
It's not that complicated. It's just not.
But they go into a deep depths, Leonard, trying to make it very impossible and trying to discourage people from actually going out there and participating in what is their right to vote. They go into deep depths. Yeah.
We can't worry about the discouragement. We need to be planning how we getting out to vote. It's not about discouraging. See, you can discourage little girls. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be discouraging grown men. Grown men, even men, should have a responsibility to the vote.
That's good.
We let women get in there and turn out, and now we have to follow their example. It's because they have a desire to be represented. They have a desire for their families and everything, and how their careers go, and their neighborhoods, and everything. So they know how important it is to seize power, lest they continue to be subordinate to evil men.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how we as an African American community have to understand. This is how you defeat these people. You get them out of these seats. As we always repeat what Big Brother Haroon would say, these seats belong to the people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Not you.
Exactly. Kirk, talk to me, brother. They're going to deep depths, man, trying to discourage people from coming out there voting, putting all these different, trying to pass all these different bills to make it harder and harder and harder for, say it like it is, man, black folks to vote. What do you say to that, Kirk?
Well, one of the things that I've caught on to over the years, and I still believe it to be true today, is when you think in terms of politics, at some point the mind has to adjust to what the reality is. Because when you think in terms of politics, there's a saying in politics that says all politics is local. There's a reason why a lot of times we can get so caught up on talking about what they're doing that it becomes white noise, and that's not using that terminology as a racial slur or racial attachment. It's an actual real terminology called white noise.
It is.
Which for those who don't know, it's the noise from back in the day when the TV stations used to go off. But it becomes white noise in terms of the simple reality that all politics is local. That's why our Republican brothers and sisters have worked to gerrymander districts, because at the end of the day, even a federal election is won at the local level. The more people you get to vote for you on a federal level, these votes are tallied from districts, local districts in any given state that says Representative A won more, received more votes than Representative B. It is expected for at the local level people to vote, and then those people vote, and whoever won the majority of the vote wins the seat. So it would behoove us as a people, as a country, as a people, to understand that although the powers that be have attempted to marginalize the local vote, it's always crazy to me that they need the local vote to win. Even though it's a national, it's a placement of a national seat. You know what I mean? Like, if nobody show up to vote for a representative, then guess what? You don't have an election. You're going to have an appointment or a reappointment. So then on a local level, you got to control what's going on where you are. And the only way you're going to do that is, just like Leonard said, get off your couch, get from in front of your computer, and go and vote.
Well, Kirk, I'm gonna tell you something. Most of the time, people, man, they get on fire when it comes time to voting for the president. But when it comes time for the local elections and stuff, a lot of people don't have the same fire up under their belly, man. And they don't understand exactly what you just said. They don't have the same fire, man. You know, the local elections, the turnout isn't as great, or the other side is hoping that the turnout isn't as great. What do you say to that?
Well, when you think about it, it's brilliant what was done over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But see, what was done over the years was, if you really think about it, unlike brothers like Leonard who are well crafted and understand, when you really think about it, there has never been, name me one time there was a real true push to advertise and or the words escape me at this point, but when has there ever been a real true push to to an election that was local? I've never seen it happen. Now, somebody it could have. The first time I seen it, in all reality, the first time I ever seen it was um Stacey Abrams and the dude down in Florida. What was his name? The black guy down in Florida.
I know you. I can't.
First time I ever seen.
Mm-hmm. I can't think of his name.
I ever seen where a local. Huh?
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of his name right now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forget his name, but that was the first time I
very
seen
disappointing, brother.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Extremely disappointing. But you know what? Here's the disappointing factor in that I must say.
Gilman.
So, yeah.
Understand when listen, I'm not making an excuse for him. So I don't want nobody to take this like I'm making an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
But the simple fact is, you know what? Y'all playing with people.
Yeah.
Because y'all knew that was going on all along.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to tell me you didn't. Mm-hmm. Because I you knew exactly where to go, when to go, and how to go there. It reminds me of, it reminds me of an old story about Hitler, man. That if you take the fall of Nazism or Nazism in the Third Reich, they'll teach you that when Hitler had the guy killed, it was 3 guys in charge before Hitler actually got real power. And one of the guys told Hitler, "Hey, look, man, if you really want power, you're gonna have to kill this guy." Well, that guy was in charge of the police in the country of Germany. And I could have the story off a little bit. I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time. But anyway, so Hitler agreed and gave him the order, all right, go and kill the guy. They come back and they say, "Look, man, don't nobody know don't nobody know where this guy is, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can't find him." Well, Hitler told them exactly where he was. So they went and got him. And when they went and got him, he was in a basically homosexual brothel. They was having an orgy. So they dragged everybody out and they killed him right in the middle of the town center. I have a picture of me standing in the middle of that town center when I was over there. So they dragged him out and killed him in the middle of the town center. But there were several of the so-called movers and shakers that was a part of the Nazi movement that had questions in reference to, well, how we didn't know where he was at, but Hitler knew where he was at. What's going on? How did nobody knew, but he knew exactly where he was and exactly what time he was going to be there. Was he supposed to be there? So sometimes I just sometimes I try and see the forest beyond the trees. But all politics is local, man. All politics is local. It's just not. It's not a lot of money. A lot of money is put from the state to a Fed election.
Good day. Let me go.
But it's not the same amount of money that's put from the Fed down to the state election.
Yeah. Leonard, what do you say?
They hope that.
Exactly. Hold on one second, Kirk. Leonard, what do you say to that, brother?
It's pretty much true what he said, and we have to think about it. When we're talking about a local election is based on a jurisdiction where you live. Now, here in Georgia, we have people that are very, very active all the time. So we're always fighting for local we encourage everyone else in their states as well, and we hook up with activists around the United States about issues.
Mm-hmm.
But like, say for instance, my vote counts here in Georgia.
Yes.
In my local election, you don't get to vote in my local election.
Mm-hmm.
For instance. So there's a separate responsibility that you have in your local area as well to be a part of that. And you have to understand it's called layer cake government.
Mm-hmm.
And it's your local, your state, and your federal. And then you even have city and local ordinances that you can be involved in as well. So government, just like law enforcement, has separate levels. Like you got a city police. Guess what? The city police is different than your sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
The sheriff is different than your FBI.
Mm-hmm.
You may have other law enforcement agencies in between, but there is a system.
Come on.
And you have to learn what the system is.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school and got my degrees to learn the system. The contract is like Kurt was talking about. Contracts are for one reason, because everybody running a hustle. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. Come on.
So that's why you had to have contracts on how we gonna conduct business. And still, even with the contract, like you say, that works out great for people who own docks.
Mm-hmm.
You would always think that the hustle would be how let's try to make this ship late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But see, if we have a contract that says that one, this is how we gonna operate, and it's to avoid people taking unfair advantage of the other party.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way you have to look at it as a citizen. You on one side of this contract, and you will get taken advantage of if you don't understand that contract.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
This is how it works. You go and vote.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works. That even the man without a home to live in can get a vote. He can vote.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So we have to understand that that's what it's about. It's about taking away the vote.
And that's what they're trying to do.
People don't want to understand it. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly what they're trying to do.
It's all a part of the letter just brought to mind. It's all a part of what they call the Southern strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The Southern strategy was basically, I want to say 5 or 6 Dixiecrats. They were Democrats from the South who, after the Civil Rights Act of 64, 65 was passed, they jumped ship and they left the Democratic Party, and the Republican Party welcomed them with open arms.
Mm-hmm.
When the Republican Party did that, people see, they've been showing this black lady, this black professor, do this little thing on YouTube, and she keep talking about how basically how black folk need to be Republicans and this, that, and the third, and it's the party of Lincoln. Well, the Republican Party ain't been a party of Lincoln since Lincoln's assassination. Let's just keep it real, tell the truth. The Republican Party has been a party that has forever. The one thing that I can say that is still the same is that the Republicans were extremely studious in the inner workings of government and how government was set up. It's always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you had so many African American abolitionists before the ending of slavery, and after the ending of slavery, vote Republican, because the Republicans had a feel for, okay, this is how a democracy should work.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden, after certain rights was given to certain people, no, we got to change that. So there was this thing called the Southern strategy. So you have people like, like us. It's funny because people are trying to deny it. Now that you can just give them names. Okay, Strom Thurmond is one that is the first one that comes to mind. Strom Thurmond was a Democrat. Uh, Governor Wallace, if I'm not mistaken, at one point was a Democrat. They were all Dixiecrats. There's 4 other names that are really popular in government, and still to the day is looked at as one of the, the movers and shakers of their era. But once that option for women to vote and for Black people to vote became available, they were upset because once again with gerrymandering, you can always gerrymander a district, or you can disenfranchise the vote because you know that these people whom you have oppressed, be it if it's Black people and or white women, if given the opportunity to vote you out, they will vote you out. You have been mistreating them for years. So, it's man, your local politics, period. It ain't no other way to put it. Politics, period, is local. And finally, on the issue for me is I've always wondered, if I take into account everything we just said, I've always wondered why Election Day is not a national holiday.
Wow.
I've always wondered, even as a child, why do we vote on a Tuesday and not a Saturday or a Sunday?
When everybody is free. Let me do this. Let me pull that Badger. Badger, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Pretty good.
Good deal. Everybody mute your line so we don't have that background noise. Mute your line for me, gentlemen. And Badger, we're talking about all the bills that they're trying to pass right now to suppress the vote, to make it more difficult for people to vote. When it should be, it's supposed to be, or I thought it was, your right to vote.
Which bill?
These bills that they're trying to pass right now to make you have to do this, you have to do that, and putting all these parameters in place to make it more difficult for people to vote. What do you say to that, Badger?
I know one of the ones I was looking at is just you got to have a particular driver's license or something. They're trying to implement it like across all states. I'm trying to figure out which bill you are talking about because I didn't interpret any of them by limiting.
Leonard, you there?
The bills are different from state to state.
You're talking about state bills?
Is requiring far more stringent guidelines as it relates to voting locations, all types of things to make the vote more efficient. For instance, drop boxes, all of the extra days that were fought for, and extra days for people to get out and vote. Those things are being. The strategy is to repeal those laws that were currently in place to increase access to the polls for voters across the United States. This is the Republican agenda. It's to discourage the minority vote. And it is to take back every advance that we have made as it relates to making the vote, like Kurt said. Why wouldn't we vote on a Saturday? So what a lot of folks did was the effort was to actually have people polls open on the weekend for people to vote. That takes that's an actual part of a bill to do that. So the Republicans now are putting in place to repeal those things. No more early voting. Early voting was a huge step forward in getting more people to vote. Well, the Republicans have bills to try to take back early voting. So you can slowly reduce it to 1 day to vote.
Making it very inconvenient
we
for
didn't
people.
Have, we always didn't have early voting. We didn't have drop-off boxes and all of these types of things. It took a fight to get those things to happen. So now what the Republicans are doing is going in and trying to put forth their bills to do the exact things that they were doing from the beginning of the Voters' Rights Act.
Exactly. So, Badger, what do you say to that?
I'm kind of shell shocked at the moment. I didn't know there were states that were doing that right now.
Georgia being one of them.
States been doing it since the 1800s.
Well, I understand that. I'm just because I've been looking at federal bills and everything, and they're supposed to be passing some bills that try to keep that kind of stuff from happening. I'm just wondering what kind of clash the government's going to have versus the states if the states are doing that.
Well, first, the federal government does not govern states that way. They require that the states be fair. The Voting Rights Act just went up for an amendment a few years ago, and it was for how states should be conducting elections. Say, for instance, the federal government has to come in and tell the state, you can't change the polling location the day before the election. That's what the federal government does.
Hi, this is Cassandra Alexander Green with Wild Ministries and Wild Production.
Cassandra just called.
Why people have to understand what is, especially African Americans. It is the federal government that secured your rights, not.
Hi, this is Cassandra.
And this is why people who support states' rights are those types of people who want to further push a private agenda. Like Texas.
You know what, Leonard, I'm so glad you just said it, my brother. I'm so glad you just said it because God was just putting on my spirit the whole while you and Badger was talking. Please tell these people the new coded words and messages. Thank you. Because see, it's unchanged now. When we was younger, when all of us was younger, for example, if a Caucasian brother wanted to call you the N-word without saying the N-word, and you were African American and or Indian and or a person of Oriental descent and or Mexican and or Puerto Rican, they would call you a boat. It sounded like a Southern terminology for boys. But they would call you a boat. But that was coded word to call you an intelligent infant. Because, of course, we can't say it on this radio station. But it was a way to diminish you without actually saying the word. So you may hear somebody say, hey, Bo. Hey, Bo. Yeah, Bo. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Bo. That's calling you an intelligent. We know the rest. The coded word and what Leonard just said is, or the coded phrase is, we think we are a strong proponent for states' rights. Whenever you hear that, that is coded word for we want our state to remain right by it remaining white.
Wow.
That's just my opinion.
Okay,
I could be wrong.
Good deal. Let me go to, we got Cassandra. Cassandra, good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, doing good. Cassandra, you here in Georgia, and we're talking about right now, this is not our topic for today. Well, this, this is the way I win, so we may talk about anything today. But we're talking about right now how they're trying to pass all these bills here in Georgia and other states to suppress the vote and make it more difficult for a person to come out there and exercise their right to vote. Cassandra, what do you say to that?
There have been at least 253 bills with provisions restricting voter access around the country. And that's in over 43 states, mostly by Republicans. Okay? Georgia has 22 bills that they are trying to introduce to restrict and suppress the vote. And this is it. Let's not be stupid, because and let me tell you what, I'm so upset about all of this,
Hey,
and
Leonard,
I'm glad we're talking about
Leonard. Go ahead.
we're talking about what we're talking about today, because last night I sent emails to several members of this group that's trying to get these suppressive bills. I sent emails to them. See, we can talk about stuff all we want, but unless we're willing to do something, that's a move. Sending an email saying, no, we do not want this type of suppressive bill being passed through, but we got to do something. So instead of just sitting there and saying, oh my God, this is horrible, they're trying to suppress the vote. Any person, I don't care, black, white, if you cannot see that this is strictly against mainly people of color, you blind and you don't want to see. You don't want to see what's happening around us. I have said this, and I said it in the email to them last night. I said, I believe that there is a move to take voting back 50 years at least. And you, gentlemen, are a part of that problem. We have got to stop sitting around and doing nothing. This is an attack against us as people of color. Because how do you talk about special IDs and all this crazy stuff? And there are people that don't drive. There are people in certain areas, they're not going to be able to get to the town to go get. Man, this is against us. Let's not pretend like it's anything else. It's against people of color, and it's disgusting.
Wow.
Hey, Raheem.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Raheem. You know, you pulled me one time on a post that I had put on Facebook. Cassandra called me about it one time. I posted on Facebook. I had a moment. You know how I had a moment.
Yeah.
And I told folks 2 years ago, 3 years ago, listen, y'all, they get ready to try and deny y'all right to vote. I said, it might not be now. It might not be. But listen, this new ID, that realistically, guess who are the people that should have the new ID? The folks who like to travel or who jobs kind of mandate that they have to travel abroad, not just domestic travel, but international travel. Those are the folks that realistically have a almost like a mandate to have that new ID, because the new ID works in a dual capacity. It works almost as a passport, as an electronic passport, because when they scan it, it can tell you every country that this person been in, right? But it works at a dual capacity as a passport and an ID card. But they tell you in the paperwork that if you are not basically a heavy international traveler, this idea is kind of obsolete. But something Cassandra just said that I need for people to know. When you think in terms of them trying to take the vote back 50 years. Okay, when you talk about the voters' rights legislation of 64-65, the voters' rights legislation of 64-65 is called the Voters' Rights Act. That means that act has to be ratified or recertified every 7 years. Every 7 years. Most of the time, it's very rare that you have a president that only serves one term. Most of the time, when we realistically think about it, our history shows us that the president normally serves 2 terms. So we need to be cognizant and mindful the president that they wanted, that was actually pushing and shifting us back 50 years, did not get the opportunity to serve 2 terms. So right now, if you have to re-ratify or recertify the Voters' Rights Act, the next election in, what is that, 2024?
Yeah.
That means that for 24 hours, there's a chance that you may lose your right to vote because the vote has not been recertified or reenacted. It has not been voted on yet. And it's a simple vote. We call to the floor, blah, 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 the Voters' Rights Act, blah, 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 yeas and nays. I vote yay, I vote nay. It's that simple. But the fact is that it has to go back to the table to be voted on. That's why I'm a big proponent of, okay, if we're going to live in a real democracy and we're going to say that we are the truest democracy and the fairest democracy, take the Voters' Rights legislation and the Voters' Rights Act and vote on it to become law. Why has that not happened?
Exactly. Let me do this. Let me pull Rico into the conversation. Brother, been waiting for a minute. Rico, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Grand Rising, man. What's going on with y'all?
Hey, we talking about this voting situation, bro. You know, this is not our topic for today, but this is way out Wednesday. So what's on your heart about why they're trying to suppress, why they're trying so hard to make it difficult for people to vote?
That, number one, that hasn't been a question to me because ever since I've been knowing about government and voting rights and how the system works, I've been knowing that they've been trying to restrict that right ever since they gave us the right. This is now, don't get me wrong. I think some people later on wake up and realize the true agenda that's going on. You know, some people go out here and vote and they just think everything is, willy-nilly and the system is built right. Then later on, started paying attention and realizing, wait a minute, they're trying to restrict us. Wait a minute, they're trying to take our rights back. But it ain't true. This has been going on since they gave us the right to vote. There's been a group or a clique or a society of people, a group of individuals that come together with an agenda and a playbook from state to state. When the Democrats or the Dixiecrats went and jumped to the Republican Party, they didn't go one by one. They went as a group of people. That means that those people from those group of states were in cahoots. They were collaborating as a group of people from Mississippi to South Carolina to Georgia to Alabama, all across the South. These group of people working in tandem, in unison. To this day, they still collaborate and work in unison for one common cause. And that cause is never gone anywhere. Actions speak louder than words. Now, if you
everybody, hold on, Rico. Everybody mute your line. We got some background noise coming from somebody's line. Everybody mute your line for me. Go ahead, Rico.
Now, the fact that a lot of us chose to not be on, I ain't gonna even say chose, but the fact that some of us wasn't truly informed or aware of the atmosphere that goes with politics and voting, I don't want to say it's a person's fault, but I think after they start reading and understanding and knowing the reason why you should be informed and know your history, then you can see that this is a process that has been ongoing since they gave us our right. So I don't like to disrespect or laugh at the people that's just realizing this. You know what I'm saying? Because it takes people some time to realize the undercurrent of what's going on, true agendas that's going on, hidden agendas. But if you really paid attention to history, you saw it from the very beginning. It never ended. So, a lot of these people are up in arms. I see people up in arms about them trying to restrict it. But I think I said last night or yesterday, I think there are certain test states. Along these group of people that collaborate from state to state, they have certain states that they know that they can get by with different legislation to see if it works, and then we'll try it here. Then we'll try it here. So now what's going on in Alabama, the voting rights ID, y'all just been aware of that. We've been going through that for about 12 years down here already, voter ID law. So, and I think that's where it originated, maybe here in Texas, is where they started that mess at. So now it worked. They worked out the kinks. They went and bumped heads and saw all the different arguments that people would use to defeat it, to contradict it or whatever, and then to counter it. and then they modified it. And so now let's roll it out and try it somewhere else in one of these weaker states where the black voter turnout isn't really strong, or black people that should vote aren't really involved or paying attention. You know, because they get away with it from state to state, but depending on the constituents.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it'd be hard for them to get away with something like that in New York. It would be hard for them to get away with something like that in California. But in Alabama, Mississippi, where you got a majority black state, but still the majority vote is white, they'll get away with something like that because you have a lot of uninvolved constituents and people that have the right to be represented but don't use that right and don't even have a propensity to want to pay attention to it.
Good deal, good deal. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
I'm just going through the bills that they're promoting and stuff like that, or trying to pass in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And
what are you finding?
I mean, there's one that's wanting to make voting make it a state holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something I don't think I've seen anywhere else. And then some of the other stuff, you know, the nitpickiness, it definitely is targeting people.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to use, like, you know, to make sure there ain't no false votes, using forensics where people that can see if the signatures are the same and all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm like, I can understand to a degree to make sure there's no falsification, but at the same time, they can very much use it to make sure certain votes don't go through.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something to be very cautious about.
Oh yeah, very very cautious. Very cautious. It's something actually to really look at. We got another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Morning, family. Toya with the T on the line.
Toya with a T. Toya with a T. Good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. It's well. How are you?
Hey, doing good. We're talking about it here in Georgia and other states, how they're trying to suppress the vote and take away people's right to vote. Toya, what do you say to that? What's really going on?
Oh, that been going on. We just ain't nothing new. This ain't nothing new. This been going on. Let me see. We got free, and then how many years it took for us to be free? And then how many years they've been doing this like this? This ain't nothing new. Look, I'm with this new generation. I'm over it. Get up and make some that. I don't care nothing about that. People said they ain't supposed to kill me, and they still killing me. Like, for real. Like, okay, yeah, vote, yeah, but it's more than that. It's more than that. This is what they've been doing, and not for nothing. Like, I'm so trapped up in this constitutional system that they've written is like a spell that we under. And, oh, you just can't do anything if it's written down in the Constitution. Yeah, well, thou shalt not murder written down too, and they still killing us. This is a rule that I'm not going to accept for them. Right? That hamster wheel they got us on, because if they keep us focused on that while they're not following those rules and regulations, they got us over here fighting by they over there stealing, killing, destroying. So, I'm not saying that, voting is important, but what I am saying, which is not the same for years, a lot of truth is going to come out, and the American people are going to be upset about it. And when we get done with it, you're not going to want them to run your government no more. All the lies and deceit that is about to spill over. And what we know is not enough. So I'm expecting more things to happen. And I'm expecting to see this governmental system crumble right before our eyes, and we rebuild a new one, because they're not done yet. There's more to come.
Good deal. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother?
I say I don't really have a problem too much with the system. I have a problem with the people in power. See, I'm not a chaos individual. I believe in rules and regulations. I believe democracy is the best form of government, minus racism. You take racism out, this still is the best country to be in. So we're constantly fighting against that. But the motive behind these bills is racism. That's the motive for these bills. So we have to understand that's why we fight racism and injustice, because that is what we're dealing with. It's no problem with having a government and everybody agreeing and doing what they're supposed to do and respecting other people with their rights to own private property and to pursue happiness how they see fit. That I don't have a problem with that. But then again, I don't come from the place of always look like it's something somebody doing to me, because I'm an activist. So you know, it's hard sometimes to be this age and have been an activist the majority of my life. For people to still say they don't understand. No, like Kurt said, it's just white noise to you.
Yeah.
It's just a background for what you're doing. And then you run into it when you get caught up and got to pay some fines and got to do this, that, and oh, my electric bill so high. You hate your electric bill, but you have no idea who governs the charges and things like that for your electric bill. That's crazy.
Exactly.
That what you complain about is what you should learn about.
Exactly. We got another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning, Raheem, man. It's Cornelius, man.
Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Man, sleepy. Just kind of woke up and thought about morning glow because, you know, I've been working all night. So decided to call in today.
Man, I'm glad to have you. Good to have you, brother. We're talking about how they're trying to suppress the vote and make it difficult for people to vote here in Georgia and in other states. Cornelius, what do you say to that?
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, because I was looking at NBA Jump last night, and people making comments mad about what LeBron is trying to stand for more than the vote, and different things like that, and telling people like him to basically shut up and play sports instead of being more active and trying to get things to vote. And I've been hearing about little stuff like that. I don't. Now that I actually participated in voting this year and actually realized that finally in my heart that my voice made a difference. Because back in the day, you know, like I told you, Raheem, I didn't vote for 20 years, man. Yeah. I told you my reasons why. But now that I did get active back in voting, I don't like that. You know, I don't like voter suppression because now they're trying to. Blacks are being more vocal. They're going out to the polls. They're starting to make their voice known. So now it's like, okay, let's turn up the heat. We got to keep these people from keep these blacks for our black and brown communities for going out voicing their opinion because the major turnout that happened this year is what basically got Trump out of office. You know, and that basically, and even with him spreading these lies about the election fraud and people believing this stuff, and they say it was a record turnout in voting this year, and I know they was not expecting that, because the black and brown communities went out there, and then they made it to a point. I was looking at the NBA. How LeBron and Chris Paul and all those guys got all those NBA players registered because a lot of them wasn't even going to vote themselves. Even people like Shaq. Shaq said he never voted. He went out there. I mean, I got people, my wife, she told me she never voted in 20 years. She went out there. My first lady she said she's never voted. She went out there. So a lot of these people like myself, those folks that went out and voted, did what they did, made their voice heard, and we were so excited to see things, especially what we did down here in Georgia, to get people like Kelly Leffer and Will Perdue out of office, you know, and put two minorities in the Senate. So all that stuff, man, they're trying to get this thing so folks won't get out here to make it harder to discourage them from getting out doing what they do. So yeah, I don't like what I'm hearing, and I'm praying, but I also want to continue to make my voice heard, continue to do my part, and encourage people to get out here and vote.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna switch up just a little bit. We may come back to this right here as well before the broadcast, but I want to switch up just a little bit. And Cassandra, I'm coming to you because I know your heart on this subject we're about to go to. With everything that's going on, with all the racism that's still in our community and communities around the world, Cassandra, what are we doing? What about our children? What are we telling our children? What are we feeding our children? What are we leaving our children? Cassandra, what about our children?
Yeah, that's my concern. Everything that I feel like I'm standing for at my age now is so that it would be better for my grandchildren and my great granddaughter. And man, my heart is broken for the younger people coming up because things are so out of order in this country. And especially when it comes to racism, we listen. You can say, well, don't bother me. It ain't touching me. Anything that touches one black man touches all black men.
Yeah.
That's the mentality we have to have because it is against us. It is against us. The voting thing is against us. And our children, if we do not stand and do something now, our children will suffer as a result of our inactivity or our not getting involved. I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to do my thing. It's not just about you.
Come on.
It's not just about you. It's generations to come. Do we want them to go through what we have been? At 61, I'm still experiencing racism in this country. My grandson is afraid to be stopped by the police. What the hell? I'm sorry. What the hell? It should not be that way in this country. Not after all of these years and how hard we fought.
Exactly. Absolutely. And see, that's the thing right there, man. That's the reality of the situation, man, that a lot of people are not taking the time to realize or even pay attention to. What about our children? What about our children? Toya, what do you say to that?
Well, I'm coming from a place of accountability. We're not doing nothing for them. We're not leaving them nothing. Half of us ain't nothing ourselves. We're not teaching them. We're not teaching them to stick together. We are not being good representatives of it. And the last thing that I can do is try to act like these youngins get it out of the sky. No, they got it from us. They're reflections of us. From the things that we decided not to pay attention to, the things we decided to let fall by the wayside and do what we wanted to do. So when it comes to our kids, we got a lot of cleaning up we got to do that ain't even got nothing to do with the government. The food, for example, and we only talking about us because we black, honey. We talking about all humanity. We know that this food is poison and they got things in it that's not good for us. We still going by and shop and getting it. We don't want to go back to growing our own gardens. We don't want to not eat meat if we know it's poison. We don't want to not indulge in the things that take us down the wrong road. We don't want to not listen to rap music. We want to twerk. We want to twerk in church with the pastor. We want to defy these odds that they set up to be a structure and then talk about, our kids, but that was up to us to teach our kids. We came from slavery. So it was nothing for our parents to do but teach us the right things to do. We couldn't go to school. We couldn't do this. We couldn't do that. But values and morals was what they taught us despite what's going on. And we know that. We don't care nothing about no morals, no values. We don't care nothing about making babies. Oh, I don't care them you. They need my kids, but I slept with you 17 times. So, a lot of these issues has nothing to do with voting. What vote got to do with our kids? Your kid can't even read to go vote. Your kid, you ain't talking to your kid about who the mayor, governor, or president since one. They 23 years old, and then you should have been looking at and talking about why didn't you vote? And you ain't never had a conversation. You ain't never went and done it. All you did was talk about it as if they do what we say and don't do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So, our kids, it's a big responsibility on us. What have we prepared for them when we leave? And what did we leave them? And what are we teaching them? And a lot of it is not going to be on court. And that's why if they pull any tricks, it's going to be because we're too busy teaching our kids how to twerk and work about Beyonce than different bills and laws that are passed and how to maintain your credit. How you don't know your credit score, but you know your birthday. Like it's just a lot that we ourselves need to teach them that we're missing the ball on. At the end of the day, when it's crumble, it's not the kids, but the ones that was before them that set the game up for us to fail.
Absolutely. 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. Give us a call. This is Way Out Wednesday. Whatever's on your heart, we'll change the subject and talk about what's on your heart. So give us a call. Phone lines are open right now. Badger, what about our children? But what about our children, Badger?
Oh man. Kind of like what Toya's saying, there's a lot of people that aren't teaching kiddos what it about voting, about keeping up with bills, how to read them. Like, there's a lot of things that people just aren't doing anymore, or doing at all, and they're just letting things fall to the wayside. Like my kiddos ask me, what I'm doing and stuff, and I explain to them what I'm doing and what it's about and why I read so much of it and things like that. So we're focused really hard on making sure that they know about their rights and, don't let a person try to take their rights from them. But there's other people that's just literally just saying, just go with the flow. And that's what they're passing on to their kids. So they're just being brought up just to kind of in the sheeple mentality. And it's interesting, how the people in power have used things to create that thought process. And it affects the schools, it affects everything. So many people I've come across, with me being a history nerd like I am, they're like, well, that's not what they taught me in school. And I'm like, well, did you go to college? They're like, well, no. I'm like, well, if you go to college, you'd actually be able to learn more about this, because what they teach in public schools is hardly nothing compared to what's actually out there. They just give you a broad scope of things. And it's just, looking at the bills that, and everything else, what kind of world, or what are we leaving for our kids to have to handle?
Exactly. And that's the thing right there. Now, Kurt, when I say what about our children, let me go another level on you. Kurt, I got $1,000, and I'm gonna pass it out between 10 little boys. I'm gonna pass it out to 10 little boys. I'm gonna line them up, put a tie around their neck, and they have to be able to, if they get tied, they get their portion of that particular money. How many of them young boys today realistically could tie that tie?
I'm gonna say probably 4 out of 10. That used to.
You think that many?
Yeah, that used to be. That used to be. That used to be an issue. Literally, it used to be an issue. But the Obama effect is real. we can say any number of things that we want to say about President Obama. But the one thing that Obama did for the black community, we could talk about what he didn't do, and this, that, and the third, and how his policies were whatever. But what Obama did was made it cool to be an intellectual. He made it cool for a guy to put on a suit. I've had countless times that kids have walked up to me, young men, and say, "Hey, Mr. Kurt, yeah, what's up? Hey, man, you know how to tie this tie?" "Yeah, of course I know how to tie this tie. Let me teach you step-by-step method of instruction. Bop, 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 bop." So, in my world, 4 out of 10.
Let me do this.
In my world, the 4 out of the 10 is never discussed. What is discussed is the 6 that can.
Okay.
You will never promote discovery and know-how and learning if all the talk is what a given population can't do.
Okay. Let me move on and keep this thing going. Rico, what do you say to that, man? We got 10 little boys. How many of them could actually tie that tie?
I ain't gonna talk about tying no tie. How many of them know they came from slavery? I'm gonna go back to what Toya said. Sometimes people say some powerful stuff, man, and we gloss over it for some reason. Toya said we came from slavery. I'm gonna give y'all a reality check. Something I found out when my second oldest son was like 8 years old. I asked him, did he know about slavery? And were they teaching him about slavery in school? And he didn't know nothing.
Nope.
He didn't have a clue. So I thought about it. I said, you know what? That's my job to do that. That's my job to do that, because there was family members that sat down with me and spoke to me about Martin Luther King and why he got killed, about Malcolm X. It was family members that sat down every Sunday and watched PBS with me and watched Eyes on the Prize. It was family members that sat down and watched Roots with me when I was very young to let me know where I came from. So now you ask, what are we doing? Like I said, you talking about ties. Now, how many young black men know they came from slavery out of 10 in 8 years? You know what I'm saying? I ain't worried about no tie right now, because that's the last thing, less of our problem. It's a lot of young black men don't know where they came from. And what are we doing? We definitely ain't teaching them that. I'll tell you what we're teaching them. We teaching them how we learn integration. We teach them how to have a good time. What's important? We have taught them chaos, dysfunction, double standards, and inconsistency. Buddy brought up Shaq a second ago. He's a prime example of somebody with a platform that we look up to and that we actually mention as somebody there's a reference, that was running around here being a volunteer sheriff for 20 years and hadn't even registered to vote. Fool, what you trying to prove? Shaq. So we so enamored with celebrities and athletes and entertainers. What have we done? We have taken our value and our eyes off of the excellent people that we supposed to be paying attention to and giving it to entertainers and minstrels, people that entertain us and make us happy from shooting balls and running fast and acting in movies. Did we know about it happened before this last movie? No. I told Badger about a movie called White Man's Burden a long time ago. I'm pretty sure y'all heard of it with John Travolta and Harry Belafonte Jr. Also, message, probably the best message you could get out of a movie, because in this movie, it reversed the roles. It made white people the minority, not the minority. It made white people the oppressed people that came from slavery, and it made black people the privileged brutes and savages that white people were. The ones that controlled, the ones that made all the decisions and had all the prejudice, all the stereotypes. And that movie was so huge and it had such an impact, and it probably didn't make $3 million in the movie theater. Had a movie about a cartoon that made 100 and something million. I think it was Lion King. So now we look at Black Panther, the movie. I ain't talking about Wakanda. I'm talking about the first one. Didn't nobody go see that. And we didn't push it. But just as soon as a white man with a cartoon came out talking about Black Panther, we showed up in Fred Hampton gear. All confused and dysfunctional, inconsistent. So that's a problem that we have at home because we have not focused and came up with a correct game plan in our homes. Because we've been out here consuming and being convenient and living our best lives and not actually paying attention to important and valuable, like where you came from, why you should vote, how long they've been trying to suppress your vote. So many different things, but now we enamored with Shaq and the GOAT. We talking about who's the GOAT in basketball, who was the GOAT in abolition. What is abolition? Do some of these children know that? That's what's wrong. Actions speak louder than words. We could talk about it, but we ain't did our job. It was up to me to sit down with my son once I saw him laugh, and I tried to describe at first what slavery was about. He laughed. I had to catch myself. I like to lost. Then I thought about it. I said, you know what? It ain't up to these schools to teach him this, even though he was going to a majority black school. It wasn't up to them to teach him about slavery and how people were fed to alligators and how they were oppressed and put in the hulls of ships. It was up to me to do that. It was up to me for me to pull up these Eyes on the Pride documentaries and sit down and watch that with him. It was up to me to sit down and watch Roots with him. But no white person gonna sit down with him and do it. So that's
man, look at you're giving us a lot, brother. You're giving us a lot. And hold that thought. I want to circle around a little bit. Let me go to Sadaria. Sadaria, what's on your heart?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I had been listening, of course, before I got on the panel here, but I was listening to Rico, and I was listening to whoever was speaking before him, which young lady it was, I don't know. But again, Toya, I address this frequently when I'm talking, and I address it because of what I teach. I teach inner healing, and the root of the problem begins with, parents. I'm gonna use me for an example. My mother was 40 years older than me. So when I was born, she was 40. She was born in 1918, and I was born in 1958, right before, the Black Panther movement and Kennedy and King. I was born right before that. My mother was born in a time where she had to go into separate bathrooms. So in her mind, my mother wanted us, what she believed would teach us a higher thinking than what she grew up with. So she never taught us about slavery. The other thing was, because I didn't grow up in the South, we were taught more about it in school than the children are here. And I know that because me and my daughter was talking to a young man here after we moved here. And we were telling him about Jim Crow. We were telling him about the Willie Lynch letter. We were telling him about these things. And he was just sitting there looking at us. And then he went, "What are you talking about?" Now, this young man at this time, I think he was 29 or 30. So he graduated high school, but he didn't go to college. But he said, "We did not learn this stuff in school." So I was like, "You didn't learn it?" I mean, I couldn't even comprehend that they didn't learn it. Recently, I met a gentleman in my age group, and we were talking, and he said he grew up on a plantation. And I'm thinking, what, wasn't slavery over? I'm thinking this because of how I grew up. Wasn't slavery over when I was a kid? And it was like, he was like, "No, we grew up on a plantation. My parents were sharecroppers. So I had to pick cotton, and I didn't get to go to school." So as Rico said, here's another reason that some of the kids don't know. When our families have been broken so long, so when the mothers grow up with just, to raise their children by themselves, then you got sons that's not going to know how to tie ties because the mama don't know how to tie a tie. Or you have a son that might know more about cooking and cleaning up a house than he does about being a husband and a father. because there is no father to teach him that. And then if you have a mother who don't know anything about politics, or a father that don't know anything about politics, how are they going to pass that on to a child if they don't know themselves, if they've never voted, if they've never gotten involved in to the politics system, if they've just been listening to someone say, well, the black people vote don't count anyway, and they said, okay, the black people vote don't count. It's pretty much the same way people do in church. They go, whatever the pastors say, okay, that's what the Bible say, but they don't pick up the book and read it for themselves so that they'll know exactly what it says. So it's a lag in our culture, not just that the parents didn't want to teach their kids. Like, some of the parents didn't know what to teach their kids. If my mom didn't share anything with me about slavery and I had grown up here, obviously I wouldn't have anything to teach my kids. But I didn't grow up here by the grace of God. I grew up in California where, it's a melting pot. So they teach a little bit of everybody's culture because it is a melting pot. So I learned more about it. And then it gave me a drive to begin to read on my own and look things up and then tell my children about it. But you can't tell your kids what you don't know. And you can't tell your kids what you haven't been taught. And you can't show them what you haven't been shown. So not that that's an excuse, but that's how people operate.
Good deal. But keep this thing going. I want to keep this conversation going. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Badger, coming to you next. Cassandra, be on standby for me. Leonard?
Can you hear me, Raheem?
Yes, sir. Oh, we got Donald with us too.
Okay. I was just listening because I have very, I'm all about the fight. I'm not a big person as it relates to what was. So, there's a way to teach your children how to live in the now and to know their history. You're not going to know it all. But now when I hear some people say certain things, I be quiet because I don't have this experience. I learned all these things when I was a child. Like I said, maybe I was just privileged. I went to regular old public school. I read them books, and then them books led me to read other books. So I don't understand when people say, well, they're not teaching this in school or whatever. Because a lot of people ain't sitting still paying attention in school. Because I'm going to tell you, I know about gerrymandering when I was in junior high school. Because it was in that book I read. I was carrying union flyers when I was a little boy in my neighborhood. So I'm not sure where everybody else growed up or what school they went to. All this crap is in them books. All your government and everything, it's in them big, boring textbooks that people usually don't read. Now they're trying to change the textbooks not to even include it. But they're doing that now. This is now. So when someone says, they're not teaching this and that, I have to beg to differ. It's just not entertaining.
Exactly.
We were doing Black history, all these things and what have you, when I was in elementary school. Some of this is so elementary. So when I hear people talking about, well, we need to go back in time, I don't care about nobody's time, no time. You go on YouTube and learn how to tie. Why are you putting the tie on? Why you want to wear the tie? That's what motivates that child to want to wear that tie. And then he'll learn how to tie it because he want to wear it. So, I'm not looking on the outside. I look from the inside. And we have to bridge those gaps where we see them. So the notion that somebody did you an injustice about it, the knowledge part is null and void to me.
Exactly.
Because that same information is still where it was 50 years ago.
Okay. Hold on. Let me keep this thing going. I'm going to go. As a matter of fact, I said I was going to go in the order, but we got another caller. I think we have Donna Toussaint. Donna, you with us?
Yeah. Here.
Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good. How about you all? Good morning, everyone.
Hey, good morning. What we're talking about right now is with all the stuff that's going on in our world, in the society, with the racism and all the other stuff that's going on. What about our children, man? What are we doing for our children, to our children, or against our children? What are we leaving our children? What about our children, Donald?
Self-destruction. In self-inflicted wounds. And we've been doing it for a while. If you know how it says, if people perish, I think it said something like that anyway, for lack of knowledge.
Yes.
You just don't know. You look at a person and you look at the way they carry themselves, the way they talk. You know how a lot of young people's conversation is. It's like the girl that the same way that the girl that is on the Madeira. I think she says Byron, and she talks and she's smacking the drum. You know, the same mentality is their normal conversation.
Yeah.
So when you go to a job interview with that, or if you decide that you want to start your own business, or whatever, and you go to the bank and you go with that attitude and you have your stomach out and you got your nails bent over, you know, your sandals on, all that kind of stuff. People do what they want now.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, when a person, I don't care if it's black or white, it doesn't make no difference. No. But if a person, first impression is the lasting impression. I've had a young man, I was sitting down and he had his pants. You wear your pants like you want. My son wear his pants. Kind of like that, something. One of them. And but he when he talks, he makes sense. So I'm saying to myself, I don't dictate to my children. Just make sure that when you have a conversation, it makes sense. You can communicate so that you can get somewhere. You can have your hair like you want to. You can have your pants or clothes like you want to. But what comes out of your mouth is gonna make a difference. So, he's doing pretty good the way he is. He finally decided he's gonna cut his dreads off. I never think do that. But anyway, the young man was sitting and he was late for the interview. And his pants was sagging, and he was this and that and other. His communication was a little off, what is it? How you say that? They talk in slang.
Yeah.
And they write in slang. They send a text message out, and you got to figure out what the heck is he saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you look at the way they talk to each other, it makes sense to each other, them. But it don't make no sense to nobody else.
Exactly.
But that's how they communicate. And I know we talk about, but that is the way they want it. Because, and I say they, I don't ask anybody for anything. Period. Sooner or later I'm gonna get it myself.
Exactly. Good deal. Good deal.
But we've done that because we don't teach it. We're so busy.
Okay.
Trying to make a living and a life.
Okay. Let me keep this thing going. Hold on first. Let me go to Badger. Cassandra, coming to you next. Badger, what's on your heart? What are we doing? How are we helping? Are we helping at all our children? What about our children, Badger?
Well, like I was trying to hit on earlier, there are so many kids that don't know their history. And I'm talking about all races. you know, like there are some things that they don't talk about in the native stuff. Um, there's a lot of white folks I know that don't know much or anything about what slavery is or what it was or how it came to be. And then when they actually do learn about it, they end up being some really mad people because it was wrong. You know, and then the stuff that was done, you know, like it's interesting, you know, to find out how much people don't know about the struggles of Native American or Black or Irish or Jewish or Chinese, you know, and the struggles that all those people and some of them still deal with to this day, some more so than others. Some is just flat out racism, and while others are dealing with stigmas. I think that's how you say that. You know, so I just feel like we're not letting our kids know that a lot of this country, even though what it was supposed to stand for, has turned into a lot of people in power that is driven by hate and greed.
That's good.
You know, and I think one of the biggest issues is they see these people in power and everything else that behave the way that they do, and they think it's acceptable to behave that way. So the trend continues. Well, I don't want to be poor like you, Daddy or Mama. I want to have money like these people that are hurting people. You know, and it feels like a lot of people are just letting their, you know, not helping fine tune the moral compass that is within a human person.
Yeah, exactly. Cassandra?
Sir?
Talk to me, sis. What's on your heart?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Can you skip me?
What?
I'm sorry. No, just because I don't want to say anything right now.
Okay. Rico?
I think this environment we live in now really shows that we have to really identify what quality time is. I mean, you do have people that spend a lot of time with their children or with people in their community, the younger ones or whatever, people that they have an impact on, but is that time quality time? Quality time, you're getting a lot of positive information. You're getting the necessities that you need to survive, you know. But I think about like what Donald said a second ago, they have a language and a mentality, a mindset, and a belief system that it took a lot of effort for them to adapt to that. Effort and time, and consuming time for them to understand that language, that mumbling that they're doing, and that and I'm like, man, what did he just say? They can understand it, but I think that they put that much time into creating that language or that mindset to understand that gibberish that they're doing. It lets you know that they don't have any logic. They didn't have any quality time. Did nobody put, really a good effort into them. So they just do what they do. Willy-nilly just, out here living life. And so it really shows where we dropped the ball. What do we consider quality time? Do we really want to see a generation of people that are morally culpable later on in life, or do we just want to see people just living their best life? Like I consider myself a liberal, but I consider myself a conservative too, because I'm not extremely liberal. Some of the things that we are complaining about is because of too much liberalism.
Yeah.
So we got to draw the line, but then at the same time, we don't want censorship. We don't want people to sort of restrain our rights. Everybody got the right to do what they want to do, but where do you draw the line when it comes to morals? I mean, like Sedarius said a second ago, if you know, you can't do no better than what you know.
Exactly. Keep this thing going. Let me go. Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let me go to Leonard. Leonard, what's on your heart?
Listen to the various sentiments of people and things of that nature, and I hope people are listening or understanding. You know, that what's important is that you do what's necessary. What's necessary. Especially your priority needs to be now. Now has to be the priority. What are you going to do now? What I'm never going to do is disparage other people. I'm not going to say what you ain't doing or what you block, because I don't know. All I know that if you want something, you should want to get it. You should go get it. So I really work with folks going to get something. Not talking about what they could have had, should have had, was taken from it, all that. I don't really get into that. I was like, now that you know, it is upon you to do better.
Absolutely.
See, when you know better,
you do better.
You do better.
Yes, sir. See,
a lot of people won't claim knowing because then you have to say, you know what, I should have done better. It's easier to say, I ain't know. No, you knew. But it wasn't important to you. I teach my children excellence. That's what I teach my children, about pursuing life, liberty, and happiness from their point of view. And along the way, guess what? You're going to run into some racism.
And I'm going to tell you something. One of the things I used to say to my kids growing up, I said, I know you know, because if they tell me I don't know, I say, I know you know, because I was there that day I told you. I was there that day I told you. And so don't say you didn't know.
My son got one whipping. I think I whipped my son one time. I ain't whipped him since.
Exactly.
Because he looking at a video camera of him doing something, and he looked at me and said, I didn't do that.
Wow. Wasn't me.
See, that to me is almost a sign of a mental disability.
Wasn't me.
So one, you can't go into life with this mentality that you get to look at what you did. Come on, Holy Ghost. You don't get to look at what you did and act like you didn't do it.
Come on.
You don't get to look at what you did and act like you wasn't responsible. Oh yeah, it was on your watch. I don't know what you was doing, but one, you were wrong. So first of all, you need to atone for all that. You've been black, you should know about it by now. You heard me? You've been black.
Yeah.
Why you don't know? Because you don't want to know.
Exactly. Wow.
So you can't expect your oppressor to give you the keys to the cage.
Exactly.
You got to be able to understand that it's about you. I ain't got but 2 kids. Them the 2 kids I'm responsible for. You understand?
Let me keep this thing.
Now, if I'm taking care of my kids, I want to take care of yours.
Exactly. Hold on 1 second, Leonard. Hold on 1 second. Everybody mute your line. We got some background noise coming from somebody's line. Somebody got a conversation going on in the background. Mute your line for me. We're going in this order right here. We're going on Kurt, K, K with the E. She's with us. K with the E, Cornelius, and Sadaria. So, Kurt, what's on your heart, brother? Kurt, you there?
Yeah, I'm ready. I had to hit the mute button.
Okay. What's on
you know, I hear what everybody's saying. You know, and to a large degree, folks are right on point. But I'm also I'm out there. I'm working with these kids. I'm seeing the powerful things that they trying to do, the things that they understanding. And personally, for me, I'm just not going to be the one to diminish their methodology for getting it done. Their methodology is different from ours. Just like ours was different from Mama's and them. Mama and them took being called
shiftless and lazy and the N-word and this, that, and the third. They took that just so that they could put some food on the table so that we could then go beyond middle school, so that we could go to high schools and eventually go off to colleges. Now we got a generation that are not only going off to colleges, but most of these young folk is even going higher. They get master's degrees and doctorate degrees. So I'm just real leery of speaking for all the young folk, because we have, I guess you can call them some rotten apples. Every culture has rotten apples.
Yes, sir.
I'm reminded of it's man, we just got to be careful, man, because there's an element in society, and Director Ray just talked about it yesterday. White supremacy is on a rise, and they no longer using the words they used to use to define a group of people. They're using our own words. They're using our own actions. When you look at what happened in after 846, I like to use the time as a date as well. And what's been happening over the years, them young folk been out there.
Yeah.
And thank God for people like Cassandra Green, who at least is a pillar and knows how to tell a young folk, okay, all right, hold on now, see what y'all trying to do. Hey, let's go on and pipe that down a little bit, because we're going against the grain here, and we won't accomplish the mission. We still have a mission and a purpose. And those younger folks are like, you know what, Miss Green done said it. That's the reinforcement that we are right. Why did I say that? I'll end with this, bro. Anything that's taught at home, if it's not reinforced in the public, will not be taught. It will be experienced. If I teach my kids that, listen, man, you got to be careful when you sit around with these police, because when they pull you over, blah, 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 blah. If that's not reinforced in the public, my kids will still eventually gravitate towards, if I get pulled over by the police, I'm going to be treated just like everybody else.
Exactly.
I'm going to be treated like I'm equal like everybody else. And that's not the case. So, it's folks like myself, you, everybody on this panel, have taught their kids the right things.
Yeah.
Or the right way about dealing, the right way about coping with the discrepancies in our given American society.
Exactly.
But all at the same time, if that's not reinforced on a local level, on a national level, if that's not reinforced visually, if the teachings are not reinforced, then whatever you taught them stands a greater chance to be broken.
Absolutely. Gotta keep it going, Kurt. Gotta keep it going, brother. Hold on one second. Let me go to I say I was going to K with the E. Good morning, K. How you doing?
Well, good morning. Good morning. I'm blessed.
We're talking this morning. What about our children? What about our children? But what about our children? All this stuff that's going on. Are we helping them, hurting them? Are we feeding them the right things? Are we giving them the proper nutrition that they need to go forward and be successful? Are we doing that? What about our children, Kay?
That's a individual thing. Some is and some ain't. I can only speak for what I'm doing. I can say I'm doing it, and I'm giving them the right tools. If they use them, it's up to them, though. We can give it to them all day long. It's up to them to want to use it. It's up to them to utilize it. It's up to them to, I think that they know enough and they've seen enough. And if they didn't go through it, they know somebody that did, that they should be ready for change.
That's good. That's good. Chris, what do you say to that, man? What about our children?
Yeah, Raheem, I after I said my little piece, and I'm gonna really head on back to bed. But I'm glad you brought me behind that young lady that just spoke, because that's so key to understand that some gonna do it, some not. Unfortunately, that's the society that we live in, and man's mindset is made to where it is that where I was gonna go biblical, but I'm gonna stick with it right here. When I was a child, man, or when I was a young man, look, I didn't teach my son, like I said, that I wasn't in his life like I should have been. So he kind of grew up without me. And I remember you asking that question a while ago about what is your biggest regret. That was one of my other ones. That where I wasn't in my son's life to really impart into him, because why? My life wasn't right. So at the end of the day, when you're not right, you're going to impart things into your child that's not right. But when you are trying to get your life right, then you're going to impart into your child what's right. And one thing that I really truly believe is that in this day and time, my brother, we got to teach our children not to hate, because that's what's out here. I was just looking at the news where I was basically calling in, was going to talk about the prejudice against Asian Americans now, even more. They're killing these Asian Americans and abusing them because of the China virus or what Donald Trump and them said, all the negative rhetoric on that. So they're experiencing the persecution that blacks experiencing and all these different things, man. So the society that we live in is the spirit of hate, lawlessness, and rebellion. So we got to recognize what's going on. We got to teach our children not to hate. And that's why I thank God that we're building up now a mentorship program through our bishop, that where we're going to start really reaching out to this youth in this day and time, because that's something that's so key, man. We must not teach hate and bigotry and racism, and teach how to love one another and respect each other on how things come. And that's just my take. I know you got a lot of deep thinkers on here, man. They want to talk. God bless them all, man. Hey, Raheem, love you, man.
Love you as well.
I'm about to get on back to bed, brother.
Go get your rest, man. I appreciate you, man. So Dario,
yes,
what's on your heart, sis?
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm in the process of writing a book called Somebody and the Seed. And I'll give a brief explanation of that. One of the things that we understand, if we all go to biblical, we all say that we're, Christian or believers. One of the things that we know is that you can't plant an apple seed and get an orange. So it's the same thing with children. We think because a father is not in a home, that child is not going to be like the father. But if the father planted the seed, then the child has to have characteristics of the father, because that's what's in the seed. So when you have a seed that's coming up in a child, and then the child grows up without the actual person who planted the seed, and then the mother doesn't recognize the description of the seed, and begins to strive to stray the child from the natural seed that was planted in the child, you already have distension in a home, whether it's quiet control, which is overt control, or whether it's power play control. Then you're telling the kid something, but they have the seed of their father. They have that seed in them. But if they don't know what to do with that seed, because the description of that seed is not before them day by day by day by day, then they grow up with a feeling of loss. And I'm sharing this from myself, because I grew up without my father. And I had a great mother who did whatever she could do. But even into my adulthood, I always felt a feeling of loss, like something was missing. No, and I was taught really good morals, really good values. My mother was hard pressed on every side, like the Bible say. So she didn't take no junk from her children. But still, it was always that. I guess it's almost kind of like an orphan, how they always go look for their parent. When a child grows up without their father, something in them always yearns about that parent. What was that parent like? Like, literally, I just found out a week ago when my natural father's birthday was. A week ago, and I'm 62.
Wow.
So I just found that out because of Ancestry.com. I just found out his parents' name, but all that now builds a picture for me and allows me to understand a certain part of me that I didn't have a concept about. So the seed, and then what I want to say about somebody, where children is concerned, I didn't let somebody live in my house. And when you would ask a child something, they say somebody, I don't know, somebody put that there. Somebody didn't live in my house, which means everybody got to take accountability. So since somebody don't live here, who actually did this? It's kind of like what Leonard was saying. You looking at yourself in a video, but you denying it's you. So you living in a house, you doing things, and I ask you who did it, and you tell me somebody. Well, then none of my children was named somebody. They all had names, and so one of them had to take accountability. So sometimes you have to remove these imaginary people out of your house.
Yes, absolutely.
And bring your kids to accountability. Last thing I'm going to say, no matter what morals, I don't want to say no matter what, because morals and values matter as children mature. Children are going to grow up and do what they want to do, period. You can raise them from the Bible. You can be the best parent. You can give them the best. You can spend the most money on their clothes. You can teach them about Black people and white people and Jewish people. And they can be some of the most educated people and grow up and act ignorant by choice. Because what every adult human being has is choice.
Yep, exactly.
So
Good.
that's all I want to say about it. Yeah.
Let me go to Cassandra. Cassandra, what's on your heart? I told you what the tea coming to you next.
Yeah, I appreciate what the young lady that just spoke said. Like her, I grew up, without my father, and there was that empty spot. Always there. And I'm 61, soon to be 62. And I still don't know my father's birthday. And he died last year, and I was at the homegoing, but I grew up my entire life wanting that. I had a desire to know him because I felt like knowing him would help me to know who I am. And it's the truth. That seed that is planted, that's why I don't see how young women just dismiss and they can just have 5 different baby daddies and all that, and these children, we wondering why so many of our children are confused and messed up because you did that. You did that, and we have to do better as a people in educating our children. And just like she said, though, you do the best that you can. I worked 2 jobs, went to school, everything, trying to make sure that my 2 had everything that they needed to succeed. One, listen, the other one, he wanted to do his own thing, and he's still out there trying to do his own thing, living a dangerous lifestyle. But I can't blame myself for that. But we can do the best that we can. That's all we can do. We can give them what they need, what they do with it. It's outside of our hands, because once they become old enough to make their own decisions, ain't nothing we can do about it.
Exactly. Told you what the tea was on your heart, sister.
Absolutely, and I think the most important part, I think I might have said this before, is that kids are whole, their own individual. You can teach them whatever, you can do whatever, but it made me think about this curse thing, right? You walk around as a man, beating on women, cheating on women, doing it to women, bees and that. As soon as you have your older, one or two things will happen. Either you're not going to keep speaking of your daughter, which is a mental problem, you should care as a dad, or you're going to see the error of your ways and think that, oh, I shouldn't did that. But the curse you just unleashed upon in your family. See, we don't understand the sons, right? Don't see me got to my baby. Oh, you fell on the floor. I'm gonna do everything for you. Don't do nothing to help you, mama. You did everything except for teach him how to help his mama. See, we don't think about these curses that we set, and sometimes we have kids when we're young because it was a mistake, and then we forget, and then they get, oh man, I made a lot of mistakes out of anger when I was young, but you never go back and apologize to them kids for the time they saw you chasing they daddy who you wasn't married up the street butt naked, stay in the house screaming and crying. You never said sorry to your mother when they saw you just yelling back and forth and carrying on and whatever transpired. You got parents that molested their own kids, fathers and mothers alike. You know, my dad raised me. So I missed a lot of that women type thing. I'm like, girl, who want to be a girl? I want to be like my daddy. But he had to spend his time to say, hey, hold on, listen. You know, you're a little girl. You should this. You know, he always kept me, reminded me of who I really was. And at the end of the day, if you ever got a problem figuring out anything, don't go to man, go to the Bible. You know what I'm saying? So I think we really have to pay attention to the precedents that we set when we walk. And we must remember to teach our kids that even when you're 7, you're setting a precedent. If you decide to give up now, you're going to be giving up at 17 and you're going to be giving up at 27. So this is something that we have to teach from within, you know. And then, let's say you're a Christian person, because my daddy was a Christian, right? The last thing I want to do is be a Christian. Be faithful to somebody, not going to be faithful to me. Somebody can hit me and I can't hit back. No, who wants to be like that? So I went out into the world and did everything that was not Christian-like, you know. But if you train a child up in a way that they should go, and that's the important part. Exactly. We have to train them up with the tools. And not only that, let me go back, right? Because when we have these young kids, there are instances where you abuse your child and you act like you didn't do it. You had brothers.
Exactly.
Carrying on that you did, and we have to apologize for it. And we got to go back and make some of that stuff before we move forward and talk about everything. But no, it's real, man. Just
good deal.
It connects, and we got.
Absolutely. Let me do this. We're gonna go on this order right here. We're going Badger, Rico, and then Leonard. Badger, what's on your heart?
You know, I came across an old saying. We must teach our children to smell the earth, to taste the rain, to touch the wind, to see things grow, to hear the sun rise and night fall, to care. You know, it's scary how much that became wrong to teach your kids, you know, natural ways of living in life and things of that nature. And now people are starting to go back to it. You know, our kids aren't born racist.
Exactly.
They learn it. So it's where are they learning it from? How are they learning it? You know, I've seen, you know, I've told you what I've experienced. You know, most of the racism that I was taught was from church, people using the Bible to promote it. You know, in the schools I went to, you know, they talked about slavery and how it was wrong and stuff like that, and the things that were put into place to help stop it and to help stop racism. You know, I don't know if that's taught anymore because we homeschool, so they're going to learn about all that stuff. So it goes, you know, we talk about racism, and you know, my oldest came up and, what's that? Well, let's have a talk. So I'm having, you know, telling my 8-year-old about it and stuff, you know, and it's just, I find it so, it can almost be depressing if you let it be. How much people aren't talking about these things or doing something about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And it absolutely can be. It absolutely can be. We got another call. I know we got an order. We got a caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning. This is Bishop.
Bishop, good morning. How you doing?
Man, I'm wonderful, man. How you doing? How's everybody doing?
Hey, doing good. Asking a question. What about our children? What do you say to that?
Well, man, that is a good question. What about our children? Which direction are they going? What type of example are we setting before them? And how did we raise them? I think it was Goddard who made a statement about, these children, something happened in the house and somebody did it, but it wasn't me. No, ain't no somebody in this house. Hers was somebody. Mine was don't know it wasn't me. So I whooped all 6 of my children and tell them, say, now this is because somebody I don't know it wasn't me did this. Somebody did it, but hey, you said it wasn't me and you don't know, y'all getting the whooping for them. When you train up a child, probably was 22 or 6 says, train up a child the way they should go when they're old, they won't depart from it. You put some roots in them, some instructions for them, and then you try to monitor and watch what they do as they grow up. But whether it be a child or an adult, the Bible also says evil communication corrupts good manner.
Yes.
The crowds you hang out with, people you hang out with are the ones who sometimes get you off your beaten path. And we would rather go out with the children, would rather go out and have fun and do mischief because that's what's in their heart. But as I think Badger was talking about, what we're dealing with in America today and leading to racism, it is a learned behavior. Everything is a learned behavior. And that's why it's so important that we as parents try to grab a hold to our children. In spite of our work, load or being a single parent, we still have responsibility as children. And you have to make sure that you raise them to the best of your ability. And once they get grown, you did everything you can. Love them. They go out into the world. You can just give them all the advice you're supposed to give them. But at the end of the day, don't you lose no sleep. God said, don't lose no sleep, or you'll worry yourself to each other where you have to.
You got that right. Rico, you with us?
Yeah, I'm back on, man. I had to leave for a second.
Okay, that's cool. What's on your heart?
Your volume just went down. You was loud for a second, but then your volume just went down real low.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there.
I don't know.
Go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay, good deal. What's on your heart right now, brother? Talk to me. We covering a lot of layers. And before we go a little further in this right here, I want to ask you: is there anything on your heart, man? Because this is Way Out Wednesday. Anything on your heart you want to talk about?
No, I'm good with the conversation you got going because it's much needed. One point I wanted to make. Toya said earlier, that we came from slavery. And the point is that, it would be easy for real if the community or the parents or whoever was around children would actually teach them that, because there's one common thing that every cognizant child or mentally healthy child wants or does. They want to know where they came from. I'm gonna be honest with you, that's probably the very first cognizant thought of a child when they can actually get their thoughts together and start comprehending. They probably wondering where they came from. So now with that question, it would be easy for you to tell them about how we came from slavery as a people. But the biggest thing they want to know is, if they don't know their daddy, guess what? They want to know their daddy. If they don't know their mama, guess what? They want to know their mama because they want to know where they came from. Now, the thing is that after a certain amount of time, if that becomes an obstacle, that they can't help, maybe they will put up for adoption, then, they're going to live in a little confusion, but maybe they could get over it. They just have to accept that, hey, I don't know who I am. I might be in the presence of my brothers and sisters right now. I don't know. But then you have those that want to know who they came from, but they've been lied to. I know little boys and little girls running around here now looking just like somebody, but their mama been saying for 30 or 40 years, that ain't your daddy, so-and-so your dad.
And
so it's
DNA,
like we all
DNA tell a different story.
And see, now this is the thing about it though. We adapted a whole different behavior. That system right there of being in denial or refusing to acknowledge who somebody's true paternity is or who somebody's parentage is. that wasn't nothing that we originally done, but it was a system that was done to us. It's just sort of odd now that in our dysfunction and our self-destruction state that we are contributing to that game plan, that playbook now,
exactly.
And we don't even realize it. You know, so like I say, it's a real, it's a thought that everybody needs to consider when we see these children. We got to know that these children, we were young once before. We want to know where we came from.
Yeah, exactly.
And they do too. They would definitely love to know where they came from, and they would like to know who they came from, and they would like to know not no false person. They don't want to be told that somebody's their father and it really isn't. But they do want to know, you know. And I just think that in the situation now where we're contributing to that behavior.
Okay, let me throw this out there real quickly because I want to put this out there, man, because I know your heart and I know this is not what you meant, but I don't want people to walk away thinking that this is what it is. Our history, because a lot of time here in America, only thing they say when they think about us, they think our history started when we stepped on these soils of America as slaves. Our history started way before then. And so, you know, a lot of the history has been taken away and erased for the ones that's actually here in America. But that's not our history. We didn't begin when we stepped off those ships. We got a history far past that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, some of us didn't step off no ships. I mean, if you really want to go and trace history, we populated this entire planet before anybody else even found some of these lands. We were already not conquering, but exploring.
Exactly.
And populating different lands. It's proven. I mean, so, you know, like I said, if you want to go back into real history, then we could go that far.
Yeah.
But, you know, for just the basic history of just knowing who your immediate father and mothers are, right now, I'm seeing an epidemic in our communities where a lot of people don't know who their dads are now, and it ain't taking an oppressor of a different color to implement that dysfunction.
Yeah, exactly.
It's taking people in denial of how they were living once upon a time, just doing that.
Exactly, Leonard. What's on your heart, Leonard? Because a lot of times people say that our history started when we stepped off those ships. What do you say to that?
Who say that?
I say some people. Some people really believe that.
I don't know. Some people need to call. I don't know nobody that believe that crap.
Well, Leonard, you ain't gotta know. Well, Leonard, you ain't gotta know him personally, do you? Well, go ahead, man. I'm just picking up. Go ahead.
You know, I have issues. So a lot of times I'm not into the carrot dangling. You know, it is what it is.
Go ahead.
It is what it is. I mean, there's no way you can change it. History happens. Only thing you get to change is today and the future. So take all that emotion about it and do something. I tell you what, how about you marry the people you get pregnant? How about that?
Come on now. That's too.
How about that? You ever tried that?
No, they can't do that. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. That's just that makes too much sense. That makes too much sense. That makes too much sense.
It somehow changes the character of it, but it's still sin. It's the penalties that we're paying because we chose not to raise families. We chose not to be there for our children. And now women whom we've been given, who don't want to admit it, you're trifling. You got one thing to know for sure, and that's who the father is of your child. Most important thing in this world. But yet you run around here talking about something else. And don't even know who's in between your legs. You don't slept with so many men in such a short time period. You don't even know who the father of your child is. Go sit down. You ain't no queen.
Wow. Cassandra, what's on your heart?
Yeah, that is Leonard. And I love him for it. Yeah, it's right. It's right what he said. I've said this before. You know, my mother had 5 children, and she had 4 different fathers. And she was only married to one of those men. And we can label that whatever we want. I appreciate my mama. You know, she's gone, but I appreciate my mama. But it caused a lot of dysfunction in us as kids, because you had 2 light skinned, 3 dark skinned. Come on, right there, you got issues. I mean, seriously, we were siblings, but there was, I mean, I'm just being honest. We were siblings. It was plenty crap going on because of the light-skinned ones and the dark-skinned ones, and people were, how come you don't look like your sister? She's so pretty. She got that pretty hair, because 2 of my sisters, like real light-skinned, got that good hair. That we called it water and grease hair. That caused problems. Well, y'all know that water and grease hair. Yes, sir. Flick that thing down, and it's good to go. And then I was considered the ugly duckling. I mean, literally, people called me ugly because my sibling looked so different from me. And that caused me issues. That caused her issues. Yeah, the 2 of them, the 2 light-skinned ones, caused them issues. We brought that on ourselves. My mom brought that on us. You understand? I had nothing to do with that. And then I ended up, my father not being around ever. Ever. And that damaged me. My self-esteem was null and void.
Wow.
Null and void. Because I didn't know who I was. Nobody wanted me. That's the way I felt. So, you know, we can cause issues for our own children. And, you know, we need to be more responsible. And I'm the pot calling the kettle black, because I had 2 children. I did marry one of their fathers, but I had a child out of wedlock. I was a teenager. So I'm not bashing anybody. We just need to do better.
Yeah.
And that's why I teach young women, do better. Do better.
Exactly. Kurt, what's on your heart, brother? Kurt, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here, man.
Okay.
Processing everything that I'm hearing, you know. I'm an optimist, man. So, you know, I hold on to the fact that I truly believe that we're trying, y'all. We trying. Rome wasn't built in a day. The oppression of poor people has been happening in this country for 243 years. I evaluate this country and our processing situation from a biblical standpoint. Now, I've said this before. I believe I've said this before. I know I said it to you, Rodney, in our conversations offline. But I believe what we are seeing, I believe that when the Bible says such things as there's nothing new under the sun, I believe that what we are seeing is parts of the Bible that tells us this will happen and this too shall pass.
Gonna manifest itself.
I believe
it's gonna manifest itself.
It's gonna manifest itself. I believe that right now we find ourselves in a state of, the Bible calls it the land of dry bones. And I believe that the African American, Indian, and poor white community has been worked and exploited for so long and so hard that it has put us into a self-perpetuated place of sleep. And I believe that over the last 40 to 60 years, a man and or woman has walked upon that land and did not know what to do, but saw it as
as a place of complete destruction, and was instructed to call forth the bones.
Yeah.
And I believe that at this point, we are at the state in that process where the bones are starting to wake up.
Wow.
The bones are trying to form themselves so that then they can follow the call of human awareness and human success. So I get it. We still got a lot of road to travel, but I'm an optimist.
Exactly.
So I look at what's right about our people before I automatically address what's wrong.
That's good.
Because when you look at what's wrong, and I'll just end it like this: when you look at what's wrong, it's easy to find what is wrong. It's hard. And when you find what's wrong all the time, it becomes hard to define truly what is right. So I hear everybody talking. The points are so well put, and so to a degree, right there. But I think
wrap it up.
I think we're being blessed to experience a greater level of human awareness and accomplishment if we can just get out our own way.
Good deal. We got about 30 minutes, so I want everybody to give, say what you're gonna say, but speed it along a little bit because I want to touch the people. We got a lot to cover before we get out of here, so y'all speed it up just a little bit for me. So Dario, I was ready to come to you, since I don't see you on the screen. Are you back? There you go. What's on your heart? Can't hear you. Oh, hold on. Got you. Unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, and center yourself a little bit. You're not on the screen all the way.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
That's because I'm moving. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just hearing everything, where we are as a nation, where we are as families, where we are as people, hearing people talking about, sin, what the Word of God says, what we see that's parallel to the Word of God. There's so many points to touch on. So what I'm going to say, I want to say this, and I want to say it about sin. And I've heard this a couple of times on the show. Children are not born in sin. They are born into sin. That's two totally different things. So when you read the scripture about children being born, they're not born sinful. They're born into a sinful atmosphere. And so once they come into the atmosphere, they are subject to the oppressions of sin because the parents have already been subjected to the oppressions of sin. And unfortunately, we teach what we are, whether we teach it verbally or whether we teach it in action or whether we teach it in misperceptions, or in our misperceptions come from what we conceptually believe. So I can't really tell a person they're wrong if that's what they conceptually believe. They may in fact be wrong, but in their mind, it is their truth. So everybody having one truth is a big part of what we see. Everybody doesn't have the same truth. And that's a big part of the problem of what we see. Everybody doesn't have the same truth about raising kids, being married, getting married. One other thing I want to say, and this is just, I'm just throwing this out there, and this might be another subject on another day. Why, if a woman sleeps with a lot of men, she a skank and a hoe and all this other stuff. But if a man sleeps with a lot of women, he okay. He cool.
It's a double standard. It's just a double, and ain't no two ways to put it. It's a double standard. And is it fair? Absolutely not. because the scale should be the same, should be equal. That goes right back to the lady that they brought before Jesus. The lady they brought before Jesus, and
Raheem,
yes,
Raheem, the risk is so much more. The potential risk is so much more damaging on one end than the other. You know, I said this once before. You could take one man and he could impregnate 20 different women, and each one of those 20 children will know who their father is. But take one woman and let her sleep with 20 men in that little 3 or 4 day span, she could have a child, and see how much confusion and dysfunction she caused that child trying to find out who his daddy is.
That's a matter of a woman speaking the truth. I have 3 kids with 3 different fathers, and I'm not a skank or a hoe. And one of my children, I was married. The other 2, I were not. But all of my kids know who their fathers were. They all had the opportunity to have a relationship with their father. Now, every woman is not that honest or willing to be that honest.
Okay, that's
so
good.
It depends on the woman.
Yeah, I want to get more people into the conversation. So y'all hold for 1 second. Anybody else have anything they want to say on that topic right there before we move past it?
One of the things I wanted to say, Raheem, is the difference between that is men don't care nothing about being called no hoe. Men don't care what you call them. Men really
nowadays women don't care neither.
That's what you got equal to. You're equal to somebody that don't care nothing about you.
Nowadays women don't care neither.
Right.
They don't care about that.
That women care about. We're not looking for wives. We're not looking for husbands. So we're not concerned about that type of thing.
Okay, let me keep this thing going. Toya with a T, she hung up, but she just called back in, so I know she got something going on. What's going on, Toya?
Yeah, my service. The devil know he can work them airways, man. I don't know. I got off track. What was the last topic I had?
Well, they're talking about if a woman sleep with a whole lot of men, she's called a certain name. But if a man sleep with a whole lot of women, he's not looked at in the same manner. And I'm trying to clean it up a little bit.
I mean, yeah, man, it is what it is. A man is a man, right? He's the leader, the head, regardless. Even if you don't do the work, a man is a man. You got a penis. It's just not the same. It doesn't make a difference. Just like some guys be like, oh, girls do this, that, and that. What are you talking about? What you want, a coochie, bro? Like, what you mean? The fact of the matter is it's a difference. We can try to convince ourselves, oh, there's no different than men and women. Yes, there is, because God says so. Men is the head. Y'all supposed to be the leaders. When he created y'all, that's what y'all should be. Now, us, we gullible because y'all are the leaders. So we supposed to believe you. When the problem is you're not supposed to be trying to talk me out my drawers because you're the man.
Exactly.
So if you come to me and tell me, oh, baby, you're beautiful, I'm supposed to believe you. You're not supposed to be a liar, bro. Now, my father taught me, well, you can't believe boys, you can't believe this, you can't believe that. Why? Because you're a bull. He's all over the place. Curses coming, and just walk. I mean, whatever.
Wow. I want to pull.
Now.
Go ahead, Toy. I want to pull some more. I want to pull. No. Go finish your thoughts. I want you. No. I don't want to stop your thought. Now finish your thought. But I'm gonna pull as many people in as I can. So go ahead. Give me the fast version if you can.
Right. Yeah. So now here we are. Here I am, a female. Yeah, I got a daddy. Taught me right. But here a man's supposed to come because I'm supposed to get with you. You come say, baby, I love you, baby, I'm this, I'm that. I believe you. You get me pregnant. You leave. How is that my fault? Tell me how that is my fault.
Wow.
I believe you because I love you. Because I was
and I trusted you.
You open up your mouth, lied, put your Peter back over here, and then it's a problem. So now, as a woman, because I believe you and I trusted you, when I walk away from that relationship, what's the difference in the field from now on? Like, come on with the jokes. You got to take a personal responsibility. Now, as a woman, my father always taught me too. You don't hold on to no man with no child. So let me tell you something. If I done got caught up and you lied to me, I'm taking my baby and I'm going to handle my business. Don't no men get to get in my way. Don't nobody get to do nothing. I got to do everything I'm going to do by myself because men is liars to me now. Because I did the natural thing. You broke the natural order, and now we got a mess.
Good deal. Let me go. Let me keep it going. Bad, what's on your heart, brother?
Just more of pretty much what I was saying before, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much that, I talk to my wife and people from all over, and it's
Come on, Badger. We got to get some.
I, just skip me.
No, I'm not gonna skip it. You got a thought, brother. Go ahead.
I can't get the words out.
Okay, got you. Cassandra. Cassandra, what's on your heart?
Yes,
Talk to me.
I'm
Talk
here.
to me. Now, men. Go ahead. I ain't even gonna preface it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead and say what you were gonna say.
No, I'll just say, reiterate. Men, they sleep with 20, 30 women. They okay. This is just what men do. A woman do the same thing. She's labeled a certain thing. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean that has always been the case. We can go all the way back to biblical times when the woman was caught sleeping with the guy. They didn't try to stone him.
Mm-hmm.
they were stoning her,
mm-hmm.
and that's when Jesus said, "Hey, you without sin cast the first stone." But
yes.
We have that double standard. It's always been in place, and we just have everybody just has to be more accountable
mm-hmm.
for their own behaviors. And women, because we've seen throughout history how this thing works, we have to be more accountable for our bodies, who we share our bodies with.
Mm-hmm.
That's on us. That's on us. Because if you give it, he gonna take it. If you give it, he gonna take it.
Mm-hmm.
That's bottom line. You give it, he gonna take it. That's bottom line.
Listen to them in the back. Listen at the cheerleader. Listen at the cheerleader in the background. They got a little cheerleader in the background.
I'm with you when you're right, preacher.
Lord, Bishop, what's on your heart, Bishop? Talk to me. Bishop, you there?
Man, I tell you, mm-hmm. I'm here. I had to take the phone off mute. This is a very good topic and conversation. I know this ain't where you want to end up, but when the sister brought that up, I knew it could go one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
It can always most definitely sound one-sided when men begin to say, "Well, that's just the way it is."
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with it. I do believe in monogamy. One man, one woman. But men have always been prone to do various things, and then women become the victims of the situation. And it's unfortunate that her feelings get hurt while he's going on by his business.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we do our best to talk to these women, and explain to them what they should and should not do. You got to look out for the wolves. Because I'm gonna say they're gonna come to you in sheep's clothing, and then if they get you and attack you, then you are left, wounded.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to pay attention, man. I do like this subject, but I can get real deep in it. You reading it, I know you're looking at my message that I'm sending to you, so it can get real deep.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everybody wants to go into that right now because you ain't got time.
Yeah, we got 20 minutes, so I'm gonna try to speed around and go around as fast as I can, get as many people in as I can. Rico, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart?
It goes back to what I was saying earlier. I believe in monogamy too. I prefer monogamy. I think, I wish everybody did. Then there was a lot more less infidelity and less confusion. But we got a lot of confusion going on right now. Like I said earlier, we got a lot of children running around here don't know who their daddies are. And some of them think persons are their fathers. So what I try to do, I try not to look at that from a man's point of view or a woman's point of view. I'm the biggest loser.
Mm-hmm.
Woman's behavior like that. So now I'm gonna go back to this formula and see if anybody else can relate to it the way I relate to it. Now let's say my papa was a Rolling Stone.
Mm-hmm.
He knocked up 20 more women than when he knocked my mama up.
Mm-hmm.
He was a dog. But for the next 48 years of my life, I know who all my brothers and sisters are, and we share the same daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was an athlete, a singer, maybe he was famous and he was much sought after, and these women were dedicated to him because of who he was, and another man couldn't take them out. So he got 20 different children, settled records. But all of us know our mama and our daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I am little old me with my mama. Done went through 9 different paternity tests, and she done told me all of them was my dad, and then come to find out they ain't, and she got 11 more to test. She probably she probably don't remember some of them names, because you ain't got but like 3 or 4 days, 5 days, maybe tops that you got within a window to get pregnant. 20 men. Now put yourself in that child's shoes and ask me, why is it less or more important for a woman to carry herself a little bit better than that man? Just look at it from the child's perspective.
That makes a lot. It makes a lot
for the woman, huh?
Mm. I see that it does make a lot of sense. But my thing is just right here too. I think that we all have to be somewhat responsible though.
But we're looking at the reality of it. The reality of it is who's the biggest loser? Because the question was, why is it that
the biggest
are not held as accountable or just as harsh as women? So when you look at the offspring and what they have to go through from the consequences of a woman behaving like that, compared to the consequences of a man behaving like that, that child is the biggest loser. So it ain't about you and what's between.
It is.
About the consequences behind that action.
It is, but my thing is just right here. She can't get pregnant without him though, so he has to have some responsibility in that. I understand what you're saying, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Which one of the hymns? Maybe that one hymn thought he was the only guy.
See, y'all paint her out to be terrible. Toya, what's on your heart?
You see Maury. You see Maury. You see the Mad Dash, Living Test.
Man, y'all paint this woman to be a terrible person, boy. Go ahead, Toya. What's on your heart? Toya?
I'm sorry, you said Toya?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said me. So, yeah, I mean, listen, this conversation is needed, right? These are the things that are inside and we probably don't talk about. These are the platforms that we need to be having. These are the discussions we need to be having in our homes, at our tables, whether our kids are 40 or not, right? There are just some things that we need to go and correct. Like, we need to stop right in the tracks right now. And I do this all the time with my nephews. I know I had a large influence on them as a woman. Try to protect them. Oh, we trusting girls say this. Oh, it's me, right? Oh, I had to go back and clean it up. Sorry, y'all. You're supposed to marry a woman. If you want to have a baby, you're going to lay down and make one. Make her your wife. So I'm going back teaching everything that I felt like I taught wrong, everything that I operated out of hurt or pain or anger. I'm trying to go back to the same people who I know I was influential over and change that. And even when I do my live, you know what I'm saying? People can say what they want to, but I feel like when I speak on my life, I'm correcting some things that we allow to slip by the wayside. But it's something that needs to be done because it makes people say, you know, so conversations that we have on this show right here, man, I love y'all for it. And for everyone not being scared to talk about it, voice their opinion, I think gives us an insight and a direction from all different aspects. You know, not only the black and educated, not only the black and brown, not only the Indian, and not only the white and like whatever, like whoever is listening to this can identify some of the things that we are talking about. And I believe that when we have these conversations, not only does it give insight to different races, but it gives insight to humanity, man. And I want to thank y'all for it, man. I want to love y'all for it, man. Let's keep having these conversations and let's keep growing and moving forward, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's go to Donna. Then after we're going to Badger. Donna, I'm gonna ask you a question, man. Why is it, Donald? Why is it that if a man sleep with 20 women, he's labeled a stud or whatever you call him, but if a woman sleep with 20 men, she's labeled something totally different? What's going on there, Donald?
I want to say a whore is a whore.
Wow.
A whore is a whore.
Hey! Okay, go ahead. Get the corner ready for you.
I'm just saying.
So it don't matter whether it's male or female. It doesn't matter.
No, it don't make no difference. See, we've been. I guess some cultures allow or still live in times when, handed down, a man could have more than one wife. But I don't think there was ever even a woman was allowed to have more than one husband. So that mindset would, even in scripture, if a woman had more than but she was a harlot. She was labeled as a harlot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But then we passed that down to our son. Boy, go ahead, man. Sow your wild oats.
Yep.
Go ahead, boy. But then our daughter, if she comes up pregnant, we want to disown her just about.
Or shoot somebody.
So it's just, man, what you talking about? Look, I tell you, man, I can't say everything. But it's just society. It's just society. I mean, we think we got our, bragging rights. Yeah, I'm talking about men. Because, look, big pimping. You big pimping, boy. You.
Boy, you got that girl, didn't you? You got it in you, boy. You got it in you, boy.
Yeah, boy, man, what you talking about? That's my dude, boy. Man, this dude got it going on. He got 4, 5, 6. But the same person have the same conversation.
Yeah.
And here's a woman, even a woman that a young girl or a lady that has made some bad choices. And she has 4 or 5 bad choices, and they just call it a whole different thing.
Exactly.
But we can make bad choices all our lives, and I'm just saying.
Exactly. Let me see. Badger, I'm coming to you. We got another caller. Hold on one second, brother. I come right back to you. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
It's me, Mr. Raheem. I made a transition from the house to the car. This is Pastor Graves.
Oh, okay. Hold on one second. Let me go back to Badger. I told Badger I was gonna come there. I ain't know who the caller was.
Sure, no problem.
Badger, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
The thing that ended up causing me to be quiet, that I got very emotional about, because I don't focus on what people call each other. I focus on what's being done. I'm so tired of hearing sensitivity to words. I don't know if any of you guys know about the 1619 project. So
go there, Badger.
Huh?
Go there, brother. Go there.
Go there? I am absolutely appalled, if I'm using that word properly. If I'm not, please say so. That the words I want to say are not proper for this show, so I'm going to try to keep it PG. Because what I would like to, the things I would do to some of these people that are passing these laws is not good for any kids to hear. I am beyond furious. It's been a long time since I've been this angry. The fact of how much, watching my culture be lied about and kept from public teaching or just public knowledge in general, and not being allowed to be on the news, to what they are doing to the Black history of this country. People need to start waking up to stop this stuff from happening and continuing, because it is getting worse. If these bills get passed, our kids are going to be ignorant to what the real problems are in this country. I'm working really hard to maintain. I'm livid.
Send me the cuss words.
I would need an entire page. In Arkansas, there's a state bill, HB 1218, that's being passed or about to be passed, because they view the 1619 as trying to get people to oh man, dude.
They're trying to block the truth. Say it that way, Dad.
Okay, yeah, they're trying to block the truth, or say that teaching that is going to cause people to want to go overthrow the government, or some kind of other terrorist action. And I'm like, yeah. So, because I know most of you guys are used to me being calm and collected, but this is, I can't handle this. This is too far. Way too far. It's already been done to one, and now people are allowing it to be done to another, and it needs to stop.
Exactly. Let me go to Kay. Kay, what's on your heart, sis?
Sitting here listening to y'all, and it's just crazy how you can just actually don't know somebody that did that already and already done had all them baby daddies. And
hold on, okay. Somebody got some background. Hold on, okay. Somebody got some background noise going on. Mute your line so we don't have that background noise. We can hear what's being said. Sorry about that, Kay. Go ahead.
That's okay. And didn't know who the daddy was. And I'm telling y'all, we was all on Facebook and everything. And the same day he got them papers back and said he was not that child's daddy. He posted that on Facebook. He felt so bad because she had just bashed him. But I think that a woman that lay down with a man, they should know. So nobody else knows. You should know who you lay down with and when you lay down with them and when you made a baby. I don't care if they came right behind each other. You get a part, you get a feeling. You know who that baby daddy is. I don't think there's a woman out there that could say she didn't know. I see them doing it on TV all the time. Exactly. They break down and cry because they really thought he was that baby daddy. But deep down inside their heart, they know. My son was done like that. That ain't your baby. That ain't your baby. Little girl turned 2 years old, or just like you. And her around all his friends like, dude, you got a baby over there. You got a pretty little daughter over there. He went and found her. Like, okay, you told me it wasn't my daughter. Now she's trying to say, you don't take care of your daughter. You don't do this. You don't do that. Which one is it? No, is she my daughter or not?
Exactly.
Now she's 13 years old. She knows that that's my daddy. And she knows that her mama didn't know who her daddy was, and that ain't her daddy's fault. Because her mama had a little boy and didn't know who his daddy was, but she went to the other kids and said, my mama did it again. She don't know who her baby daddy is.
Wow.
So they better know these kids pay attention. And she ain't going to do that when she grow up. That's something she's not going to do. She ain't even trying to look at a boy. She's not going to do that. So the lesson in it for those to pay attention.
Exactly. Now, Curtis, let me ask you this question. If and different laws, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But if a young man is taking care of a child 16 years, and then he find out, that is not his baby, should she have to pay that money back to him?
Come on, you already know.
I know. Go ahead. Talk to me.
You doggone right.
But in most cases, she don't though.
In all cases, she don't. It's very rare that you'll find a court that'll hold the woman accountable for misleading. That's very rare. That's the element that we live in. But I was always taught, it takes two to tango, baby. Take two to tango. And the young lady that was speaking before me, she said a real point. You know who your baby daddy is. You know who your baby daddy is. Now, maybe who your baby daddy is ain't the right one.
The one you want.
Maybe you didn't want to get pregnant by that one. You just wanted to have a good feeling. But listen, Raheem, I have two sons, 26 and get ready to be 15 years old. Okay? I told my ex-wife she was pregnant right after we finished for both of my kids. not for one, for both of my kids. Seriously looked her in her face and said, okay, baby, you might want to start prenatal care. You're pregnant. You know.
Yeah, you know. Got 4 minutes, Kurt. Wrap me up for me.
Nah, I don't honestly know what to say, bro. Like, I'm not in no position, honestly, to shove blame on her or him. At the end of the day, y'all two did something.
Take care of the child.
As children.
Take care of the child. At the end of the day, take care of the child. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
Yeah.
Should she have to pay him back after 16 years?
Of course. Now, it would, unless, there's always going to be different scenarios. Unless that man chose to be there knowingly, maybe he knew that it was a potential that the child wasn't healed, and he said, well, you know what, I'll go ahead and take care of him anyway. Because you have some people that do that. But had he not known that and he was deceived, not only should she have to pay him back, but she should be charged with fraud.
Good Lord.
Oh, yeah, she should be charged with fraud because, like I said, we blowing it off, but I'm looking at it from the child point of view. As a man and a woman, we could easily look back and say, well, yeah, I want my money back. That child want their daddy. They want who they thought their daddy was. If that child, that man, and come to find out he was loving somebody he shouldn't even have known or had a relationship with because of your foolishness, because of lack of standards, because you have no class for yourself or self-respect, yeah, you should be. And then you lied and you knew. You denied. You looked at this other man and knew this girl or this boy looked just like this man, and you still sat back and lied to this one that wanted to be the daddy, didn't want to believe that you were that type of woman. Yeah, she should go to jail. That's fraud.
Wow. We're gonna end it with you, Cassandra. What do you think should happen? Should she have, after 13 years, this man has been taking care of this child? She knew, and let's just paint the picture like this. She knew that he wasn't the daddy. She know who the daddy is, but this man took care of this child for 13 years. Then they finally do a DNA test, and it's discovered that he's not the father. Should he get his money back?
Absolutely. And first of all, why would you wait that long to do a DNA test? From the very beginning, the people need to do DNA tests. Unless the man is saying, yes, I know that's my child, then that's on him. But other than that, I think that when you're taking a man to court for child support, the first thing that should be done is a DNA test. That only makes common sense. That way you don't have 13 years, 5 years, 2 years, 6 months paying money that you don't for a child that doesn't belong to you.
Let me throw another.
I mean, it's just common sense.
Let me throw something else. Let me throw something else in the equation. What if the one that's taking care of the child for 13 years is her husband, but she had a fling one night, and her outside dude got her pregnant?
Yeah, but by law, the law is going to say that the husband is responsible. I don't know if that's every state, but I know there are some states that if a woman is married, if that child is born, that husband takes responsibility for that child, even if the child belongs to somebody else. There are states that do that. I'm telling you.
Wow.
So it's just because they're married. They are married. So unless he goes to court and proves that child is not his, he's responsible. He'll be taking care of that child for the rest of his life. So that's unfortunate, but that's where we are in our society. But she's wrong for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, Rico, I see you at the edge of your seat, brother. Go ahead.
I saw a story in Seattle, Washington, where that scenario happened. A woman left her husband. She left her husband for another man, something better, greener grass. Man thought that she was in love with him. Thought, they was going to have something serious going on, but she never got a divorce from her husband. She just, left her husband and got with this other man. And after a while, they had a child, and they stayed together maybe 4 or 5 years, right? I believe she got back with the husband because he was more financially or potentially had, the chance to become much better in life. Decided to get back with her husband. And all of these years that man has bonded with his child is gone down the drain because the husband is the father. Not genetically, but by law. And they took the man's rights away from the father that is proven genetically to be. He ain't got no rights.
Wow. Even though he's biological.
Even though he's a biological father, he has no rights as a father to his seed that has been proven through DNA that is his. Because she's married and the husband is the father. Tell me that ain't got to be changed.
Donald Toussaint, talk to me, brother. What does this sound like to you? Does it sound like them fracking? And we got to get out of here, man. It's 10:02. Toussaint.
Yeah, me and this mute button was working. Yeah, man. Well, it's a shame that it happens like that, but hey, yeah, it's a man's world.
And then this man, then this man come up to you one day. Y'all in this grocery store together. He come up to you, and he walk up behind you. He said, "Man, how's our son doing?"
He's doing fine. You better get on away from here.
Wow.
You better get on away from here. I knew that wasn't my child in the first place. Nobody fooling nobody.
Exactly. Leonard,
people have a tendency to know, though.
Yeah.
I believe that some people have a tendency to know. They be looking at that child and trying to look at his nose and his eyes and all that kind of stuff. They say, "Oh," and that's why I agree with Cassandra. Just do the DNA test.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, somebody, and I know we got some of these guys. Oh, man, you know that's your child. Quit denying it.
Exactly.
So,
like I say, all my daughters, man, look just like me, man. So if I go in the courtroom, boy, that judge gonna cuss me out, man.
You're gonna lose.
Yeah, that judge gonna cuss me out, man. He gonna cuss me out. He gonna look at, man, why you in here wasting my time, bro? Look at that child. Boy, you better get on out of here. But Leonard, what would you look at? You in the grocery store, and it's determined that you done found out this ain't your child and blah blah blah. And this man walk up behind you in the grocery store and say, hey, bro, how our son doing? Leonard, what's the next situation? What's happening next?
Man, they call it the authority. Why would you walk up and say something like that somehow?
Trying to be funny. People could be messy. You know how messy people can be.
I would probably stab you. I don't even get out like that, bro.
So you're gonna stab the man?
I'm not. Man, look, it can be war with me anytime you come up on me saying foolishness. I don't get out like that. That's why I don't have a lot of problems. Because I respect other people in their space, and I want you to respect mine.
Yeah.
The moment you cross that line, you get dealt with.
So
you gotta have to stay over there.
So it won't be a good idea for him to come up and say. It won't be a good idea for him to come up and say that.
No, why would you do that? You asking for it. You asking for it. Huh?
Wow.
I mean, that type of thing is so malicious. I'm like Rico about it. This is not a game to me.
Now watch this.
I can't think of. You know why you find them in ditches?
Now watch
why
this.
You find them murdered?
Exactly. Hold on. Watch this now. I got to go to somebody that's a little more laid back. Go to somebody that's a little more laid back. Bishop, he come up to you and say, "Hey, man, how's our son doing?" What's next, Bishop?
There's gonna be a prayer meeting and laying on the hand.
I'm gonna need a bishop. I tell you that. I'm gonna need a bishop.
Wow.
Well, you heard the laying on of hands, didn't you?
Laying on of hands.
Lord, my Jesus. Okay. Just Rico, I ain't even asking you the question, brother. No, sir. Won't do it. Won't do it.
The message to men, because we talk to women and empower women so much, and try help them as much as we can. Men, be more protective of where you plant your seed.
Yeah, exactly.
Care enough about that's your air. That's your bloodline. You need to care about it that much.
Yeah.
I'm glad Linda said that.
Nothing more for you to do. And nothing more honorable than you to do.
Yeah.
Than to pass something along to your child.
Exactly.
I don't care what the situation is. Know yours.
Yep. Exactly. Go ahead, Rico.
I'm glad Linda said that. I'm glad Linda said that too, because now that goes back to show that we have to hold ourselves accountable for that sowing your oats, that toxic masculinity, that bull that we went by a long time ago. Because I said myself earlier, I prefer monogamy. But I'm going to tell you something, what society and peer pressure didn't force me to do, influenced me to do, and I made the choice to do. And now I got consequences behind that. I found out a little girl wasn't mine 3 or 4 years ago. Broke my heart. I'm still hurt about it now. I cry. You get what I'm saying? But had I been more particular, but now we got to accept the consequences behind that behavior, because now women have embraced it. Why exactly. Beat them, join them.
Exactly, man. Look here, we got to get out of here, man. This has been a great broadcast, man. I love Wednesdays, man. I because we talk about some things on Wednesdays. But Leonard, what's going on at 3:00 today? Last night, what was it? Last night I was seeing the morning glow come on at 3:00 last night. Lord, my Jesus. But anyway,
I know. I just thought it was your medication. Anyway, it could have been medication. I didn't know.
He been hanging out with Donna and Bishop.
Exactly.
You were so bold with it. I didn't want to throw you off.
I threw the thing way out. I threw it way out there in the Leonard. I threw it way on that boy. Look how tired is it. I was tired as a Dickens last night, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. Y'all tired as a Dickens.
If you did not get a chance to hear this show from its entirety.
And it's what? Whoa.
No.
Okay.
If you did not hear
and purity.
There you go.
And purity.
Log on to www.dkmmediagroup.com at 3:00 Eastern today.
And it's what, Cassandra?
In purity.
In purity.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Bishop, pray us out, sir.
Righteous fathers, we come before you this present hour, giving thanks and praise to you, Lord, for all that you do and have done. We ask, Father God, will bless this world as it is. Bless those that are in authority, Lord God. Let them do the things that are necessary for the people.
The tract, okay?
We ask, Father God, that you will bless DKM Media Group and associates.
I need some more sodas. So you could just get a 12-pack.
I had to hang up on Kate. She making orders out there, bitch. I'm sorry about that, man. I don't know what Kate's doing over there. Kate making orders.
She making a request. She making her own request to Jesus.
I'll take a
12-pack.
Lord, if you had it, Lord, send me a 12-pack and a bag of Skittles, Lord. Send me a bag of Skittles, Lord. You know I like them myself some Skittles. And, I'm sorry.
Oh, I am so sorry.
Lord, please send me some Skittles with this 12-pack and make it diet too. I want some Diet Coke. Go ahead, Bishop. I'm sorry.
Oh, bless you, Jesus. I'm so sorry.
Leonard, and how you say did it boldly, ain't it? Hey, give me a 12-pack. Y'all got some more of them M&M with the peanuts in them. Give me some of them M&M with the peanuts in them too. And
we just need to aid me in that one.
Exactly. And y'all got some more of them sandwiches. You got some more of them sandwiches. Go ahead, Bishop.
I want a pig feet and butter cookie.
Exactly. Them butter cookies. Yeah, I gotta have them butter cookies because I put them on my hand like rings, you know, and I eat them like that. You know, I like them. Bishop, pray us out, Bill. I'm sorry, Bishop. Pray us out.
Rico said, I want some pig feet.
Bishop, don't act like you don't know nothing about a pickled pig foot.
Man, oh my God. Hey, I already prayed. Amen.
Amen. We'll keep right there. Amen. Amen.
Amen, Bishop.
Lord. Boy, look here, boy.
Yeah.
That's the how you say it is what it is. Listen, I want to thank you.
It is what it is.
Exactly. It's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It is now, 10:11. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we are certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. We shine some of this light on you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in and let your light so shine. You'll have a great day. Give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing? Love you.